Hey,
Hey there.
how's it going?
Good. And foremost, hi, and nice to finally meet
Yeah,
you.
yeah, nice to meet you face to face. Thank you so much for being a part of this. You're my first interview, so for this project. So
Honestly, I'm down. I could give you a good, a little, launch you off with a good start there. Like, try to give you as much traction as possible to when you're jumping into a new project like this. It's a lot of
thank
fun. I'm Kaelen Sarakinis. My artist name is Kael Satan. I use he, him usually, but I also am technically non-binary. I go by they, them because I am a he, them. Like it sounds like a heathen.
yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So I always feel like it just I feel like an anomaly. So you could call me he, him, or they, them. That's preferred. Um, at the end of the day, that's where I go with. But I am a guitarist, a multi-instrumentalist. Uh, I do orchestration as well as vocals. So I do a variety of everything musically. A bit of a chameleon of genres too. So yeah, that's me.
Where are you located? I think you're in Montreal. This way is red.
Yeah, well, I would. Well, so I'm based in Montreal normally, but like it's been about like a year and a half now. I moved like north of the city, so I'm now in like more of like the mountains in Quebec.
Oh, that sounds
But
nice.
it's really nice. But it's like it's an hour and a half to Montreal. It's not bad. It's for me. It's as far as I want to be from a main city. That's still
Yeah,
doable. But Montreal is technically my hub, so that's why I always just say like I'm still from Montreal. It's born and raised. This is the furthest I've lived out of Montreal like my entire life.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't really
I'm
consider it like oh I live out here. I'm like no, I'm like I'm still Montreal. I'm still Montreal.
yeah. It's kind of like suburbs still there,
Uh,
or more
no, it's a
rural.
bit more rural, but where I'm at is a bit more like a ski area. So like it's like ski mountains and stuff. I'm like right on a ski mountain, and I'm like right near one of the like most well-known ski mountains in Quebec. So like
Cool.
it's a pretty nice area, but like I don't know, it's still rural mixed with like tourist.
I'm kind of at this point in my life where I want to live in a cabin in the woods. Like I'm ready to, but it's it's hard, right? Like being away from the city means being away from
Yeah,
the community most of the time. And that's why I like when I see those things of more queer people moving out to rural areas. I'm like, yes, please do that because I don't want to be alone out
yeah.
there. I was looking at your Instagram profile and I saw that you've been singing a lot. I don't know if that's just more recently or
So
generally.
that's a funny story. I actually pre-transitioned. My whole degree was in classical singing.
Oh,
So I
that's
used to be a high
cool.
soprano doing like, classical opera, all that kind of stuff. And then when I transitioned, I feel like I just lost my voice at that point there. Like I didn't know how I didn't feel good and comfortable there for a long time. So it took like pretty much 10 years to really like I jumped in here and there trying to test the waters, but never really felt confident through it. So but now 10 years into my transition, I'm like, fuck it.
Back
And then
into
just
it.
feeling more, I'm feeling more accepting, I guess, of my voice in general, but also more confident to what it is so that I could actually build on it instead of before where it was not feeling really comfortable with where it was. So I never really built on it, even when I try to kind of almost fall back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm at the point where I'm like back at it and I'm just confidently singing. I'm like, if it's
That's
good, it's good.
awesome.
If it's not, I don't care. It's just I'm
Yeah.
singing from the heart now, and I'm just putting myself back out there.
I mean,
Some days you do well, so
in my opinion, you sound really good.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
yeah, and that actually is such an interesting point. First of all, it reminded me of my experience, and that's such a interesting question for musicians in the space. It's just that moment when you're when you are singer, and then you're what I'm gonna transition. What does I'm gonna take hormones? What does that mean for my voice and this this thing that means so much to me? And yeah, like I was in a band for a really long time, and when I started taking hormones, I had to stop. Like, I was the singer, so, like, I had to stop for a while because I just, like, could not sing, like, literally could not sing, like, I couldn't hit
Yeah.
notes, and it was just like
That first little like voice changing section is so rough. The amount of voice cracks, like you try to hit any note and you're like, this is just like, and
yeah, nothing comes out.
you're like,
Yeah,
this is not a sound. This is not a note. This is not a scream or growl. It's not anything. It's just,
yeah,
uh,
it's puberty.
I, yeah, it's straight up. It's puberty. You lose your voice for a bit, and then you gotta find it again. And it's
Yeah,
that's the hard thing for us.
yeah, and I don't know about you, but mine didn't, like, drop. Like, I always watched, like, YouTube videos and stuff, and guys would be like, "I'm 2 months in, and my voice is deep as hell," you know what I mean? And for
Right?
me, my voice, like, I never woke up one morning and was like, "Wow, my voice is deeper," you know? Like,
Yeah.
it for me, it happened, like, really gradually because it's like now I listen to my old music, and I'm like, "Holy shit, my voice was, like, significantly higher." But, like, yeah, I for me, it just, like, happened so gradually, so I feel like it was really hard to keep track of it or, like, really understand what the fuck it was doing, and then, like,
Yeah.
in the band, it was, like, we had to, like, change our tuning, and, for, like we did, like, a single, like, right at near the beginning of my transition, we did a single, and we had, like I really struggled with figuring out where my voice would fall on it, and we had to change our tuning. And then, yeah, I would say it took me at least a year or two. I will say, like, probably 2 years before I was, like, actually able to kind of sing again. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's rough. Like when your music is like something so important.
Yeah. two
Um,
years is the same thing for me. I just gave up the first 2 years at that point there. I was like, I'm like, I couldn't track it either. Like it was so gradual. And at the same time, I don't change the way my speech is. I just talk comfortably. I always did before. So if it was like I was talking as like low as a woman, then it's like, okay, well, like that's just comfortable. If I was talking high as a man now, it's like, well, it's just comfortable, you know? Um, Sometimes I feel like I'm dynamic when I talk, so I feel like a cartoon character. But that's where I realized everyone's just kind of faking their voice half the time unless you actually have like that resonance. Like within our community, a lot of the guys are trying to fake down that voice and force it or like voice train it, you know, and it's acting, which is fine, you know. Like in some ways, I just remind myself like it's the same way with singing. You know, you could sing, you know, like another singer, or you could sing like yourself. And so like when I do like lower growling stuff in my covers or like things I'm working on, stuff like that, I try channeling certain vocalists sometimes, but I'm also trying to learn how to be like, where's my voice, right? But
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
more like what's my character, in this voice, like. So it might not come out to with my speech, like, and that's fine. Like I listen back now, I can hear the difference, but literally 10 years of like being like, my voice is never gonna get low. It's fine. It is what it is. I'm gonna be the SpongeBob next to like
Well,
smog, and that's okay.
I really understand what you're saying. Like, I feel the same way. Like, I've had multiple people tell, like, I've had like moments where I like feel uncomfortable about my voice, both singing and speaking. And I'm
Yeah,
like, like I'll bring it up to people, and some people are like, why don't you practice talking deeper? And I'm like, hell no. That's feels so weird to me. And like, I think, that awesome, great if other people want to do that. And I think that works for some people. I think it actually does
yeah.
like make a difference for some people. It makes them feel more comfortable. But
Well,
for
it's all
me,
about
it
comfortability, exactly. Yeah, but that's for me. Is putting those voices on takes too much energy out of me. That like I
doesn't
already
feel
have.
genuine.
No, I can't deplete myself more just from my voice at that point. It's
Yeah.
not a dysphoria that I wanted to carry forward, at least at this point. Like post, because I had just passed my 10-year transversary in
Oh,
November.
congrats.
Thank you. It was basically like the point for me where leading up to it all year. I was just kind of accepting certain things, my voice, and really putting myself out there. But for me, at the end of the day, I'm like, I want to be most thing like comfortable in life. You know, I don't want to like perform like I was before transitioning. And so being, post transition, I still don't want to have to perform.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Like if I'm performing, it's because I'm doing art in the way I want to. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna put voices on how I want to do what I want musically, great. But on a day to day, I'm like, I want to be comfortable. I don't want to just have an energy leak because I'm so focused on lowering my voice every day. I'm like, if people can do that, go at it, have it. I love it
Yeah.
for them, and if that helps them with their dysphoria, love it for you. But like at the same time, if it's a depleting of my energy, I have only a finite amount,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
feel
very
that.
precious. And at some point, my transition had taught me to accept a lot about myself because again, it's just we're limited to what we can do with our hormones, and I guess all of us are functionality. Some of us could hit the gym and to do the diets that they needed to do what they want to bulk how they want to do or do whatever they need to do to feel comfortable in their bodies. I love it. I used to try really hard for that, but it depleted me too much,
Yeah.
like to really keep up with that level
Expectations,
of, yeah, the expectations, right? So I had to sit down
social
and find out,
expectations.
yeah, find out what is me, what would naturally just be me with, I guess, hormones, like, what would be how I am. I look at my family, I'm like, okay, like I'm all pretty similar. I might have been taller if I was born cis, but I'm like, that's probably about it, really.
Yeah.
Like I'm losing the hair like my older brother, so I'm like, that's fine. Like same thing, it would have happened regardless. Like I've accepted certain things. That's kind of my thing over the last 10 years was learning radical acceptance in general in life. And my transition was probably the biggest thing that got me there. My voice, 10 years to have radical acceptance for, my body, all of it,
Yeah.
like hair,
I feel
all of
like
it.
yeah, you just kind of touched on something that I feel really grateful about for being trans. It's just like that as a trans man, I was able to kind of have that. Well, it's still happening every day, but like we kind of get the mirror shoved in our face in a way that like cis people don't, where we get to like pick and choose how we want to be and really like do the deep dive in ourselves to figure that out. And like, and then there's the other layers of that, like you said, like kind of everything is performance. So it's like, how do I want to be in my life as a person, as a man, at whatever, as a non-binary person, or like, and like, how do I want to show up as a musician now versus before too? So it's like, it's kind of
Yeah,
fun, but it's also like, extremely challenging. So
100%. It's something that I feel like all trans musicians and artists could probably relate to in that
yeah,
regard because it's something our cis counterparts in the industry don't have to juggle,
yeah,
you know. And then
yeah,
then throw on the layers to some of us who aren't privilegedly white, So like there's a lot more that some of us in the community have even more things to juggle
totally.
on top of it within the industry. It's freaking ridiculous,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
And that's what I would like to see a future where there's more queer people, more people of color in these communities and, sharing their experience and, connecting with other people.
Yeah,
Um, and something else I want to say really quick too about like the
yeah, go for it.
making the voice deeper thing. It's like, I feel like cis men do that the most, right? Like,
All the
and
time.
so like
They
for
do it
me,
all the time.
yeah, and I'm thinking about like I love Godsmack, right? But I can use Godsmack as such a good example for so many things, like when it comes to like gender and stuff, and just like the way that Sully Erna sings is like, oh my god, you are performing like
Yeah.
heavy duty masculinity. But then it's so funny. It's like, but then that's juxtaposed with like, he's got like the open shirts and he's wearing bell bottoms and they're really tight leather and he's wearing these like cowboy boots and stuff. And then like I remember this is just really funny, like random thing, but like I just was like reading the comments of one of the music videos and this guy was like, they just don't make music like this anymore. It's dripping with masculinity. I'm like, that is the gayest thing I have ever read. Like,
It's
yeah,
the gay mask for mask that they don't realize that some of these het men freaking
especially in
They
the metal
are,
space, like the
oh
worship,
yeah.
the like,
Well,
"Please
the
sweat on
older metal
me."
space, especially, is like the
Yeah.
most. Like, you still see it trickle down in our generation, but like the older generation metal space, I don't think they realize. Like when you see what, like, I think Alice Cooper said,
Mm.
and like, um, oh, I had my the names. Wow, embarrassing. The names got gone from my brain, but from Twisted Sister. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like the things they're saying, and I'm like, you literally
Well,
have you seen you yourself? Have you seen yourself? Have you photos of yourself through all the decades? Like, how could they say these things about like
yeah.
us?
And then
It's
a lot of
wild.
them turn out to be conservative, Republicans, and I'm like, that's really I was talking with my mom about this. This is a really interesting conversation too. I could talk about it
Yeah,
forever. I wanna be
we
like
could go on a million
I
conversations on so
know.
much. I already know it.
Yeah, like, but yeah, just like that kind of strange socio-political phenomenon in the metal space, uh, of like, the conservative pipeline in the metal space, and like maybe we'll get to that a little bit further down, but I want to start like
Yeah, yeah.
kind of
Let's
get to some of these
get,
questions
yeah, get back to
before.
the question situation because we could jump into a million side quest conversations, easy
Yeah.
peasy.
How did you get started? You kind of told me a little bit about that, but like, how did you get started with like your most recent projects, for example?
So for a Catalyst Crime, I knew our singer beforehand because she hired me in as a touring musician for her previous band called Insatia. So she was living out in Arizona, and at the time, she was dating the bassist who was a Montrealer, and that's kind of how I got like pulled in. It was somebody I knew, and they're like, "Hey, we need a guitarist, filling things up." So I gigged with them for a little bit, and then when that chapter closed off, she's like, "I'm keeping you." I'm like, "Okay." So we basically we built Catalyst Crime from the ground up with the help of Garrett Lamb, our drummer, and so like that kind of built up, and then we kind of filled in the space for everyone else into the band from there, and yeah, so that one there was like I was headhunted
That's
from the
awesome.
previous band, so I'm like that worked out nicely, and it's one of those things where if you do well in a situation, you get more opportunities, like which is nice.
Yeah, networking does
Yeah,
does wonders. That's
truly.
awesome. And then what made you like, because you said you started with singing, right?
So I actually, it's an interesting thing. So I started playing guitar when I was 7.
Okay.
And then when I was about 14, 15, I got carpal tunnel syndrome, which my dad also had carpal tunnel syndrome from playing keyboard. Um, and so I got carpal tunnel syndrome in my left hand, and I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? And then I was in 8th grade when I was, this was just as my carpal tunnel was hitting, and I hadn't fully stopped playing yet. Like it hit when I was 14, I stopped playing at 15. But 14, when I was still playing and still trying to push through it, um, a friend of mine who was in the choir in high school uh, plotted with a few other people along with the music teacher. And at the end of my class, my music class, it was lunch, and I was just noodling and waiting till like the choir shuffled in for the rehearsals, and then I was gonna grab my stuff and leave. Yeah, no, as I was grabbing my stuff to leave, I look up and the door's shut, and they're like, "Welcome to choir," and I was like, "What?" And so that's actually how I first started singing ever.
You
And
got
and
held
that's kind of
hostage in choir.
yeah. And then it kind of worked out because when the carpal tunnel really set in, and at about 15, I had to put guitar down and figure out what I'm gonna do because it was just too painful. I stepped more into singing, and I found my first band to sing in. And then so I did that for like 4 or 5 years. I did a bunch of like competitions and stuff, Canadian competition things, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of interesting things, but a lot of things I learned were about networking, how important that is. So,
Yeah.
that was an interesting transition there. But I came back to guitar afterwards because
Yeah. Yeah, I was
I
gonna
couldn't
say, like,
stop myself.
do you have a lot of pain now?
So after that band I was singing in ended, interestingly enough, the guitarist of that band was heavily homophobic, and I didn't realize it until after. So when I came out, as bisexual at the time, like that was already like, whoa. So I'm like, nowadays, I'm like, I don't even know what he would say knowing I'm a man. So I'm like,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, that the only ones I'm in contact in that band are great people, and the ones I'm not in contact with that band are. But at that point, there, after that separated, I was like, okay, well, what am I gonna do? I had just started doing classical singing in college and stuff, um, and I realized I miss guitar, and I started doing massage therapy as a career because my sister had a company, so like I went to school on the side for that with music. It was like a crazy time in college. So
Yeah.
because of massage therapy, I learned how to take care of my carpal tunnel. That's kind of what
That's
drove me
really
to
cool.
actually do that job. I was like, cool, learned a lot, took care of it, was able to step back into playing guitar. And at that point there, I was kind of like juggling whether I'm doing guitar, whether I'm doing vocals. For a while, I was doing like guitar and back vocals in like at the time was a lesbian band, but two of us transitioned since then.
Classic.
um, yeah, right. So I did play guitar back then. It was stuff that was simple, so I didn't have to worry about my wrist being a problem. But it's also what kind of shaped me to be a what I consider a well-rounded musician rather than what could have been maybe an egotistical shredding guitarist. Like the standard.
I feel like
So yeah,
I feel like it's so nice to really like, at least if you're playing like a certain genre, like rock or metal or something, to like at least dabble a little bit in each of the things so you really
yeah,
understand it. I feel like it's so fun. Like it's not necessary, but it's so fun and makes writing so much better. I feel like.
yeah.
Do you have like any like quick tips for like how to take care of your arms while playing a
Mhm.
guitar
So
specifically?
definitely make sure you have good form. Because that is going to be problematic, right? If you're someone who's like gripping onto the guitar neck, holding on for dear life, that's not gonna be good. Like even when I was gigging out in like the southwest of the US, like in like Arizona and stuff like that, that when it's really hot out there, I didn't realize how much I was gonna sweat. Like my carpal tunnel kicked back in when I was gigging with Insatia, uh, because I was sweating so much that I was gripping
You
the
had to
neck
hold
more.
harder. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, shoot. So I had to really like I had to figure out how to deal with the sweat. So I gold bonded myself like to a god. And then I
Like
just had
powder?
to, yeah, well, they had a spray type kind of thing. So I just like sprayed myself up and made sure I was like, all right, let's just not sweat all over the fretboard and ruin my wrist. So things like that, being conscious of stuff like that, how you're playing, making sure you've got good form, making sure you correct it when there's situations that pop up where you're like, oh no, stretch and warm up. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
But when it came to my massage therapy, like I know how to massage these much more thoroughly and deeply. So I'm like, there's certain things that I wouldn't recommend people who don't know like massage stuff already like to do to themselves.
Sure.
Um, but definitely, if you have the means to, definitely, if you have any carpal tunnel stuff, go see somebody who's a massage therapist or other to get those steps so you can actually get it shown to you physically. Because if I'm not showing you on you
Yeah.
physically, I wouldn't
Well, there's a
recommend
reason
it.
there's a degree for it in school and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, but definitely, if you see a professional, they'll show you in person certain things you could do, certain pressure points. You'll be able to feel it and they'll show you so you actually can replicate properly.
Yeah.
Especially like people who have tattoos, it's even more helpful because you'd be like, oh, see, it's this where this is, and you can remember it much easier. I've had some clients in the past where I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Your tattoo's placed perfectly for this. Use this as your means to get
That's funny.
get some relief. But number one thing is make sure you stretch, make sure you warm up. Like that's really essential, and just correct yourself when you find out that you're like, oh, my positions are like off, and you're like
Yeah.
doing something weird. We don't need no like pterodactyl hands.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. Like it's just something I don't think about that much, and I don't play guitar too much these days. Like, and even in general, when I was playing my guitar, I wasn't playing like so much. So I feel like I'm lucky in that sense, but yeah, something really good to keep in mind because like I feel like I have weak wrists, like
Honestly, I had stronger wrists when I was massaging full time, and now I've noticed I'm like, oh no, like I feel frail comparatively to like the massaging like for freaking
do
9
those
hours a
like
day, you know?
those like wrist exercise things help?
Some are really good. Some I feel like depending on your hand size, especially because like a smaller hands, you want to make sure you have a one that's a good size too. Because if you're overcompensating for one that's for like someone with like massive hands and you have small hands, like like
Can
just make sure you get
cause
something
other
that's
problems?
yeah, you don't want to be overcompensating for something else like that. But yeah, no, those are handy dandy. Yeah, and on tour, I take my massage gun because I don't want to wreck my wrists because everyone finds out I'm a massage therapist. So
Yeah.
I do some stuff here and there, but I'm like, that saves me. Like I brought it for myself, and then it just on tour ends up being everyone being like, oh, wait a
Oh, I
second.
can imagine.
Hey,
Yeah.
Kaelen. So I'm like, all right.
That makes sense. Are you playing shows lately?
So locally, I haven't been playing shows in Montreal because with Catalyst, we've been traveling elsewhere. North America, obviously, in the US is not super safe. So
Yeah.
doing North America tours right now is not our priority just because it's not
You might
really.
not get in for no good
Yeah.
reason.
And if I do get in, maybe I don't get out. That's
Yeah.
at that point there, like doing Canada with Catalyst has not really been a priority. Just do that alone. I'm definitely pushing the possibilities of stuff like that because as things get harder to go to the US, I'm like, we gotta do something out here, So we're thinking about different stuff and opportunities for that. But right now we are focused more like Europe, UK, and stuff like that, and anywhere else that's safer for me.
Yeah.
But I am hoping that 2026 will be more local shows with some other projects. A friend of mine has a Farsi singing punk band that I join. It's a new project here in Montreal, and
That's
so I'm
cool.
helping I'm helping out there with writing and playing guitar for that. Um, so that's gonna be really cool. That's something a little different. I haven't played any punk in a long time, so I'm like super stoked.
Love punk.
Um, yeah, so I'm really excited to see how this project progresses. We've been writing some stuff, gradually a little more remotely because of where I live right now. I have to go to the city back and forth, but we're still trying to solidify a drummer right now. So that's the thing we're missing. So I'm doing temp drums in the writing, but yeah, so that project's gonna come to fruition in 2026 more. And there's another project that's not local, and I don't know if it's gonna do gigging in the future, but it's a studio project that I'm hoping will also become something that could get me gigging in North America or elsewhere, North America, Canada rather, but like we'll
Cool.
see. But
Uh,
yeah,
can you share some of like if you have any like links or even just the name or something so I can like
yeah. So the punk band is called Jin. I'll send a link to you. For like social medias is Jin MTL. Um, that is going to be a new project that's going to be coming more into the new year. Hopefully dropping some stuff sooner rather than later. And then the other project I can't say much about yet. I am doing vocals for it though.
cool.
And it's more on the like 90s alternative grunge rock stuff.
I'm listening.
I feel like you'd be digging it. Like I'm trying to lean more into the like Deftones vibe
Yeah,
because from what I've been working on two of the 5 songs so far. I've solidified this and I'm really stoked about it. Like good people, like really good people so far that I've been working with on that, and like they've had this album like written since like 1995. So I was like, thank goodness.
oh, it's the real deal.
Yeah, like they wrote this back in like 95, like the two writers, and so they kind of brought this whole project back to life. I think they said it was like maybe end of the 90s, early 2000s. They were auditioning vocalists for this back then, and they couldn't find the right person, and so they shelved it. And then they're like, oh, you know what? Let's it's now or never. Let's find somebody, right? And
Now's a great time for it.
yeah, I'm like, thank goodness. I think I think I was like when I was talking to them, it was like I'd have been 9 years old when they were doing those auditions. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't think I would have a 9-year-old girl would have been the same as me now, turning 35 soon to as a trans man, completely different voice, you know. I'm like, I think it needed to sit that long to get the right vocalist, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
That's
but things are
perfect.
that one there. If once I do have I'm allowed to talk more about that and like the name of it, and as things go further there, I will send you that directly personally myself.
Cool.
But that one
Excited.
there, I'm really excited about because I'm coming out there again, doing vocals, and it's not like metalcore or things I've been doing in my my vocal covers I've been posting up online. Like this is like I don't know, this is just I guess
Cool.
right there in the sweet spot of what I love doing. So I'm excited.
I call that kind of music like candy rock
Yeah,
because it just like it's sometimes it's so simple. I mean, sometimes it's not, but like a lot of times it's so simple, but it's so good.
yeah,
Definitely one of my favorite genres. Um,
yeah. Definitely. Honestly, it's one of those things when I heard it, it was just, I'm like, yes, I'm definitely up this alley. And they told me just get weird with it, have fun. And I was like, I
okay.
like that. I'm like, okay. So far,
Say
everything
less.
I've shown them, they're digging. I'm like refining as we and shape the vocal stuff. But they gave me a lot of free range, and it's really cool project. So I can't wait for that. I don't have a timeline quite for that. I'm trying to build that like consistency to get that out to everyone as fast as possible. But it's quality I want out there. You know.
Well, and that makes me think, because you're doing so many music things, like, do you have like a day job? Or are you
Yeah. So
doing
like massage therapy was my main thing for a long time, but I do a few things. Like back then, I made a good amount to start investing to help me with my mental health, my mental health tips to keep me kind of like afloat during those times. I have been doing like app game sounds and like background music stuff for quite some time. I've been dabbling in doing like more podcast, like bumper music and like intro music and stuff like that. Uh, I've recently actually been helping out some drag artists with like mashups and stuff like that as well. So like I do a variety of different music production and writing and sound design kind of stuff. So they all accumulate into like my main job, but it's not like a it's not super great this year because AI has been kind of a
Oh, geez.
bitch.
Yeah, for that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a little rough, but that's where I stepping into the recently helping out a drag artist friend of mine with some mashups for the performances and stuff like that was really cool. And so that's a new era that I'm stepping into. I've done podcast music for some drag artists, so like I definitely want to work with more drag like performance things in the
Yeah,
future. So I'm hoping that'll be the direction to compensate for some of those app games getting completely ruined by the AI systems right now. I have to basically go into like really more
totally.
personal kind of ways to get money that way. But I'm like, hey, it's okay. You know?
And I talk about this a lot with anyone I get the chance to talk about this with, but like the fact that it's really interesting. I see this in my job. It's just like AI, like, got super popular and like everyone's still kind of doing it, but like you see that massive pushback. And then
Yeah.
like as we go in the future, I feel like I'm already seeing a lot of it, but like I think people more and more are gonna want they're not gonna just want to buy the product. They're gonna want the like experience and connection part of it too. And I
Yeah.
think that like as much as we can lean on that in the community and lean on that in the community and like as a community, I think will be really helpful. Like I feel like, you see that like a lot of people in the queer community are like well, a lot of people in general are like really anti AI everything. Like they
Yeah.
see AI and they're just like, no, but I feel like there's some nuance there and because
Yeah,
it does make a lot of things like so accessible to people who need it.
I like AI if it was used for things that are supposed to be used for.
Yeah,
But we know it's not. They're
yeah.
throwing literally slop at us and not giving us the real tools we should be, using it for. So it's
I
just like,
always I always think of that, like those memes and stuff that are going around where it's like, I wish the AI would take care of like all the technical dumb shit so that I could like spend my time doing the creative shit. Like AI shouldn't be doing the creative stuff for us. And
yeah,
yeah, like I feel like it's great for like organization and like for inspiration too and learning things, but for just like a finished piece of art is so strange to me. Like,
yeah. But that's where it becomes a slippery slope, right? Where it's like, oh, use it for the tool for the creative stuff, but then we start losing our own creativity. We're just like, oh, replicating what AI has given us as a creative option, right?
well,
I
and
think
it,
the idea of like maybe at best, like for AI music wise, I'm like, it could have been cool as like a form of creating like maybe samples of like abstract things that like we do that with synthesizers anyways. And I've done sound design, and I've made footstep sounds out of like different boot textures and stepping on pizza pans. And like one of my classmates had a mattress on their car, him having his wife jump on it while he's like recording a certain sound thing. For it's like these are the creative things we do. It's weird, it's abstract, but that's the human experience, right? So we're taking away, like, generate footstep sounds. It's like, okay, like people have created libraries of just footstep sounds, and
yeah,
how we've made it is the most absurd ways we've created it, but we've created it. And so it's like, yeah, we could maybe utilize it to create more samples to save people a bit of time when it comes to like creating these sample libraries, but they already have so many sample libraries when it comes to most of it. So we'd have to use it for more abstract stuff, in my opinion, things
yeah,
that we can't do physically with human stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But
I
again,
agree.
we got a slippery slope. So that's where I'm like, I can't trust people to actually use it properly.
Well, definitely not in the capitalistic lens for sure. Like
No.
when it just becomes about like, well, and that's what it makes me think is like the process is gone, and the process is part of what is so fun and interesting and makes something, I'm speaking really generally, but like for a lot of things makes it really special. So I've talked about this with my partner and her family is because they're all artists, and just like that as we go in the future, I think like process content is going to be like really important and
Yeah.
in sharing with people like this wasn't AI, this was made by a person, and it like takes some kind of skill. But on the other end of it, it's like yeah, at the same time AI gives like accessibility to some art things to people who otherwise couldn't purchase materials, for example, or like have like I don't know, just like have access to certain things. But I don't know. I do question the amount it should come in for creative things.
Well, if it's an accessibility tool, like other accessibility tools, they should be for the people who need those accessibilities, not for everyone, right? Like there's particular
Fair.
disability parking spots. It's not for everyone to be using, right? So it's the same idea. So if there's accessibility use out of this in a creative sense, it shouldn't be used for the general public because then it's no longer an accessibility tool. It's just a tool that is accessible to everyone.
Totally. And then the other part of that too is that I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but like, I don't even see people talking about it that much as like how it can help disabled people, for example, like
Yeah.
you don't really see those conversations happening. It's more just like, how can you use it in your company to make more money? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, I totally get that. That's a good point.
Exactly.
Um,
So like by all means, if we can get ways to actually use it as an accessibility tool and have it for people who need the accessibility and not just for tech bros to squeeze more money out of
and
everyone
companies
else.
to slim down their teams while demanding more work. Uh,
Yep.
um, let's check the time here. Okay. So, was it? I think of this for like my own experience with bands. Like,
Mhm.
has it been hard for you? You kind of mentioned something about this before. It's like, was it hard for you to find, and like even now, like, is it hard for you to find people who you align with?
So I feel like with Catalyst Crime, that happened pretty easily because of by chance what happened. Being headhunted by that bassist to join in there, and meeting my now current vocalist Zoe. Mm, Her and I connected and became really good friends like right off the bat, and like musically we meshed really well. So like that was something that I lucked out with, I think, because over the last 10 years, like it's been interesting trying to establish and maintain projects with other people. Um, for various reasons, but like a good example would be this during the fall, I had been hunting down a band friend, because I was like, okay, I'm ready to step into doing vocals. I was like looking for quite a range in styles, so I was pretty open to it. So I auditioned for a lot of different bands. Uh, some bands it just wasn't the things that they're going for, or vice versa. But there's a handful of bands where at that point there, I'm like, I just need to say it right away. I'm like, I'm trans. US dates and US touring and gigging is off the table for now until safer times. But otherwise, I can do remote stuff if it's not just local, etc. So I was like trying to get local, but I was open to anything. And yeah, so I was ghosted a bunch. I had people who once I think seemed to be okay, but then once like I was like, well, I am very politically vocal, right? So it's like if you think like Surge from like System of a Down is too much of a loudmouth, then I'm going to be too much of a problem for you too. So I've had people who ghosted me after being like, yeah, it's just maybe just not the right fit. Like that's the most polite one, which is fine. They were already like, about me being political, right? And I'm like, don't worry. I'm not like rah rah riot in every single song.
Yeah, because like when has music ever been political? Like
I know, right? So yeah, but by all means, let's be real. Like majority of the time, like hunting down bands and stuff like that, it's like you're sifting through a sea of cis het white men. So like it's usually on par with what you'd expect. So yeah, so like
and very broy culture.
yeah, that's why I like working with women more. So like in Catalyst, there's like we got two women in the band that are just badass musicians, and I'm like, we mesh well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Like I have no quarrels and worries. We definitely are on different. I'm definitely the furthest left you could possibly imagine when it comes to it. But I mean, like I don't have to worry about them in that regard. And I've also got to see them grow as human beings. Like my singer, like from when I first met her till now, I'm like the growth of her as a human being's absolutely beautiful to watch. So I mean, like it's one of those things you don't have to align perfectly, but there are deal breakers with people, right? And usually you find them with the cishet straight white guys, and
Yeah.
that's what I learned when I was trying to hunt down bands. But again, you get surprised, like that project I was telling you about. Uh, it, it's straight white guy, or at least that's seemingly what it is, and he's absolutely fantastic, and I probably would say makes up for all the shitty dudes I had to sift through band wise throughout the fall to find this project. So I'm like that's nice. So it's nice when you find quality people.
Totally. I feel like it's kind of like uh it's a parallel to kind of relationships in general, but it just has like that extra layer of like, you don't just have to mesh, you have to also like mesh as people and politically and socially. You also have
Yeah,
to mesh musically, which has been like for me like something really challenging. Like, and I would
it's a
say that
headache.
even since my transition, like I haven't looked too much. Um, but it's like it was always hard for me in general to find people that I meshed with musically. Then like adding on top of that, like being trans and like there are just times where I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just like shut up and play with some bros. And I'm like, I can't do it. I can't.
No, they open their mouths and then you're like, I am not safe.
Yeah.
Oh no, I am not
Yeah.
safe. And then you're like, get me out of here as fast as I can.
And feminism and all of it, it's like it's all intertwined together,
Yep.
intersectional. So it's like feminism is extremely important to me and has been for a long time. And so that's like it's like the little trans guy in me. It was, like the younger part of me was just like, I want to be a cis straight man, and yada yada. And it's like then you get to this point and you're like, how do you bring all that stuff together with like who you are now, with like who the kid in you kind of wants to be sometimes, and like I think it's really funny and fun and interesting, and like I think about that a lot with like the type of music that I make and the type of music that I like to listen to, like that butt rock, dad rock.
Yeah.
It's like
Well, especially what dad rock is now including more that I'm like, oh, that's dad rock now too. I'm like, oh gosh, like the list is getting big for dad rock, and I'm like, I am now included in dad rock. Oh shit.
yep, yep, it's coming for us all. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just like uh I don't know, it's been interesting because I feel like dad rock and alt rock and alt metal was like just like and still is like that performance of masculinity. And so like seeing it as a trans man, I just have a lot of fun with it in a way that like, cishet people can't really maybe don't really know what that means, but
Yeah.
um it's really fun for me. Um
I feel that. I feel that.
yeah, I feel like it's like that was what my album was like. It was like an exploration of a lot of things because there's like a genuine part of myself that loves this music, and that's the music that comes the most naturally to me. I
Yeah, I
don't know
feel
why
you.
because I grew up listening to Michelle Branch, but I feel like you can kind of hear
Hey,
that in my
I
music.
love Michelle Branch, and that is a-okay. All right,
Yeah,
we can love Michelle Branch and still be doing like new metal, alt rock, and stuff like that. Like,
I I have to. I can't put
okay,
myself in that box because like I fucking love girly pop so much. Like I
yeah,
love pop, and I was like, at the same time in elementary school, I feel like this was like such a interesting moment in my life. Like in middle school, it was when I'd be like jamming out to Michelle Branch on my CDs, and like guys would ask me like, "Oh, what are you listening to?" And I wanted so badly to say something like badass, like some rapper or like something more masculine that would be perceived as more masculine. I would just be like, wow, it's Michelle Branch. And I was just like, I I do like that about myself, that like I even in those moments when I was feeling like I want to be a boy, like I should do all the boy things, and like but I still was like rocking out to Michelle Branch. And
yeah.
yeah,
It's all
she's one.
good. My like even in the beginning of my transition point, like my music would playlist would it shift from some some brutal like deathcore or death metal stuff. That's just terrifying whoever I was, seeing at the time. And then it switches over to Carly Rae Jepsen, and then you're like, you side eye me, and you're like, okay, goes to the next one. You're like some classical music. You're like, what is happening? I'm like, don't worry, my playlists are a fever dream. Good luck. Like we are jumping timelines and traveling through different eras, and we are different people each song. So
I
keep up.
mean, as people who have like explored our gender and our sexuality, it just makes sense that like
Yeah.
we're probably not going to be confined to genres of music either.
There's gender nonconforming and there's genre nonconforming.
I never thought of myself as that, but that's what I am.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like prog music. It's because progressive music has like no limits at that point. It's like
All
let's
the
do something different.
yeah, all the changes.
Yeah, and yeah, they expand on all the different like musical stuff too on a crazy way, but they'll mix genres all the time too. Like they'll just like if you find some like, more of the like obscure prog, not just the mainstream prog, you'll find some really interesting like stuff like blended in here and there. You're like, oh, okay. So progressive anything, insert any genre, throw some prog into it. gonna be great.
I mean, progressive is a good word, anyways. Um,
Yeah.
cool. So, yeah, who are some of your influences now and like and back in the day too?
Well, since the dawn of time, it's been Linkin Park. I was there. But I've also like I loved everything. So like one of my so my first concert I ever went to was um Roger Waters. Was it Roger Waters? Yeah, Roger Waters. And then I was like 2 or 3. My dad brought me to that, so like we got early stuff there. But then when I was like 5, 6, and stuff like that, I was seeing Spice Girls, Britney Spears, and like
Oh,
Backstreet
hell
Boys.
yeah.
Yeah, in like the stadium shows with my older sister and my dad. And it's like my dad brought me to shows when I was young, like whatever, all the genres, So I'd go things with him, and then go to things with him, and my sister. So it's from the girly pop to the prog stuff early on. But then I also just remember, my dad just letting me loose when like we go see like Avril Lavigne in the stadium show, and he's like, "Have fun in the mosh pit," and I'm just like a preteen, just like yeah, just like going over there and literally like crowd surfing, like just a raging like kid energy. I was like, yes, having the blast, time of my life. So Avril Lavigne, Linkin Park, Evanescence, the early 2000s, like kind of icons and
Alternative.
stuff like that. Yeah, those kind of things for sure. But I also am like, I guess I'm a massive Spice Girls fan. So like that was like out of all the early days, Spice Girls and Britney
Mm,
and Backstreet Boys. That's also the mighty trifecta of the pop youth as a '90s musical child. But honestly, like,
I
so many things. But into my older years, Epica, Nightwish, into the symphonic metal. Those are like the icons that kind of got me into the genre I'm doing now with like Catalyst.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a bit of everything. I have a lot of heavier stuff too that I listened to early on, but some of the bands got canceled over the years, so we just don't talk about them anymore.
Yep. Yep. I know how that is. I fucking loved Spice Girls. I mean, I still do. I still love Spice Girls. But yeah, I had like the Spice Girls poster. I watched Spice World like so many times.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
what's your favorite Britney song?
Oh. Okay,
Hardest
so
question. Hardest question
okay,
of the day.
the one that hits the heart the most, especially after all these years and like knowing all the things of Britney's life and stuff like that. Lucky,
Mm,
lucky. Yeah, back then, like I felt her pain even when I heard it back then in that
yeah.
song. And I was like, you are an artist. I don't know what's going on, but I feel you in your art. Even when people are like, this is just pop music and it's dumb. I'm like, they dropped
Yeah.
things in there that you don't realize. Some stuff could be very like, surface level. That's fine. Mm,
Yeah.
Lucky was probably one of the ones that hit home young when I was younger, like way my
Yeah.
heart.
No, me
But
too.
all the iconic songs, like just all the main bangers, all the main bangers. I gotta say, like I think Toxic is forever like on repeat in my head.
Yeah.
I have no say. That's just what my brain chose. It just
Understandable.
that is the Britney repeat song in my head. It just pops up on a regular basis and just like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Britney Day.
I think about Lucky a lot, actually, like more now,
Yeah,
for that same reason. But then there's like one of her other songs. I think it's a different song that I used to listen to a lot when I was younger. It's like uh, it's like every time I try to fly, I fall. Do you know that one?
yeah, yeah.
I gotta
Oh
look it
my
up.
god. Yeah, I don't have my phone's in front of me here, so if you have a way to look it up, it'd be. I need to know it now too.
Yeah, it's Every Time by by Britney,
Every
and
time. There we go. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, that song just came in my head the other day, actually. And like, I was like, oof, I gotta listen to that and like explore that a
Yeah.
little bit more for those same reasons, like everything she's been through and stuff. Yeah, I was obsessed with Britney Spears when I was younger. And then the other thing I was gonna say is, well, my favorite Britney song is Three. I
Oh
I just
yeah,
fucking love that song so much.
yes, that is a
Uh,
good one though. Especially it's hard
it
to choose between songs. They're
it's
so good.
just one of the most catchiest songs of my life
Yeah.
for me personally. And then the other thing I was gonna say is like you got me thinking about how like the step between Backstreet Boys and Linkin Park is like not that big of a step.
No, it's really not. It's really not. They're the Venn diagrams like they
Yeah,
cross, and I'm like, whatever that third bracket is there, I need to find out what it is because
because
there's a
it's
sweet
good.
spot there. There's a
Yeah,
sweet spot there.
that's so funny. Yeah, I love that song, Larger Than Life.
Oh
That's
yes,
the name of the song, right? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, that's a good one. Um, let's see. This was something I was curious about because you talked about it a few times, like being like remote in your band. Like I have never
Ah
done
yeah.
that. I don't know what
So
that's
I love
about.
this actually, even though like I do miss. I'm looking for something local to like, really get that together. As somebody who deals with like my own mental health challenges and whatnot, sometimes like the regularity of certain schedules like I can't keep up with because like I have to like put it to something else. So having this is really nice because I get to really focus on myself musically for a while. And so like there's certain periods of time where it's like cool, nothing's happening with Catalyst right now, like it's cool, and then like I get to really focus in on my own things, prioritize myself, um and then be like, all right, we have Catalyst stuff happening, either recording, like writing, recording, or touring, stuff like that. Like we have stuff coming up in the spring, and like basically, we all come in prepared already, and then have like about a week of rehearsals, and there we
And
go.
where do you rehearse? Sorry if I
Uh,
missed that.
so so it depends on where we're touring. So like if we're like last time we were in Germany, when we were doing our tour prep because that's where we were leaving from, and we're gigging in Germany and Europe and the UK. So that's where the bus was leaving from, was in Germany. So we were started in Germany for rehearsals uh, at our drummer's rehearsal space because our drummer lives in Germany. So it worked out for there. If we were doing something in Canada, we'd probably be at my place with my space for rehearsals. We do rehearse also in Arizona back when it was safer to go across to the US. So I mean, like we've done US and German rehearsals for things, but often that's what I'm saying. We're at all at levels where it's just like we can all just show up, know our stuff, and be like, let's go.
And
It's
is it
usually just try
like
to like fine tune like technical stuff.
yeah, is it like one of you like writes something? Like how does the writing process work?
So the writing process is interesting. So like for the first album, me and the singer like wrote all the demos. Like she sent me an iPhone little recording of her singing with a click track, and then I wrote everything. And then that's that point there, like our drummer was solidified into the band as well because he was part of it. But like I did all the demos initially. He came in at that point there, and we started to like refine all the demo ideas and stuff and fill out the rest of the band. Uh, we got with our producer at the time too, so we kind of like I have like a home studio, and the drummer is able to do all the drum programming as well from his place for demos. So like he usually has me do like an idea based off of what I've written, uh, just so he knows what I have in mind, and then he does his own thing. Sometimes it's similar, sometimes it's different, sometimes it's just elevated because he's a really good drummer. So he just makes whatever I write drum wise ideas that much better. So I'm like, it's really just like a pass it back and forth kind of thing. A hot potato, here's the song, you know?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, it's
but
kind of
then
like
then we all come together and we've recorded the second album that's going to be coming out uh, this spring. Is going to be that was all recorded in Germany at Master Sound Entertainment, which is our producer's studio.
cool.
Yeah,
And I have like a few questions about it. Let me just check my questions because we have like
yeah,
20
yeah.
minutes or so.
It's
Um,
okay. I could probably stretch it to 4:30 at best, but like that's if like we need to.
cool.
Okay.
Um, I just want to make because yeah, so because this is interesting to me because like I've never like done things remotely and it's like kind of a cool idea, but like it's kind of like I mean, it sounds like it's kind of like the manual process just like maybe takes a little bit more time to do something rather than like in the
Yeah.
moment writing something.
Yeah, it's because all those things. It's also with dealing with time zones. So
Yeah.
you're like, oh, here you go. Here's the thing, and it's kind of like, all right, we'll get something back based off of their work schedules. There are also time zones, so when they'll hear it, they're like, oh, I'll get to it in the morning.
So you make like
So
demos and then you like kind of
yeah,
come all together and record it
yeah.
professionally.
So
Cool.
usually like our second album, the orchestrals were done in the U.S. by our keyboardist at a studio there. So he did a lot of writing on the second album, um, where we used him as a good platform to jump off of musically. For this second album, at least, the first album was a whole other process. And I won't jump to that one. For this one here is interesting. There's a few songs that we had different people who started it off really. But this time around, we had him and our singer kind of bounce together in the beginning, and then me and our drummer came in, really filled things out, and we had our lead guitarist really just make everything else soar. And our bassist as well just came in after I wrote some stuff, and like we all just kind of filled in our spots for a bunch of the songs that we did for the second album. But there's a few songs on that album that like I brought in my ideas completely. And from there, our keyboardist just he heard it. He was like, "Ooh," he's like, I had a lot of fun with this because like I write differently than he does, right? So like the progressions I choose versus what he chooses is sometimes just different, right? So like he had a lot of fun with one of the songs in particular that I'm actually really proud of for that next album. So like once that one drops, like I'm like I'm excited for that one because it's
I'm
just
excited for it too.
yeah, it hits good. And even then, like our singer asked me to do a three-part across multiple albums. This one being the first part, and there'll be two other portions across two other albums. So I'm like,
Cool.
that's gonna be cool conceptual thing going for the future, based off that song that is I called it like the death metal nude like moods kind of song. Like it's just death metal moods. I was like, when I brought in like this is a heavy song we need, and just because we all bring different things to the albums and stuff like that. But since I did so much work on the first album, I really want to see like what other people give space for everyone else in the band to work in writing wise.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really do hold a special place for that particular song. I'm really excited about it.
Cool. I mean, it's always such a magical and awesome experience. Like when I don't know, for me, I feel like music is sometimes I do it with like writing, just general like short stories or poetry, but
Yeah.
like with music, it's like for me the easiest way has always been like the easiest way to like if I feel something like put it outside of me and like just to
Yeah.
see it's so strange. It's such a weird experience. Like I just wrote a article for my job about like music and psychedelics and like the role of music and psychedelic therapy and stuff like this. And just like that's interesting because they're kind of like two really strong entities that are like really spiritual and otherworldly. So it just made me think about that, like how like I still don't understand what happens when I'm writing music. Like I'm like, what just happened to my body? Like how did my
I
hands
kid
do
you
that?
not. No, I kid you not. It's points where I'm like, I don't know. I get into like this hyper focus mode of just like everything else falls away from me. I'm just like, I've had my partner come like bust into the studio and being like, okay, come to the house. You need to eat something, you need to drink something. I'm just like, what? I was like, I was in a flow, and I'm like, I did great work, but like, holy crap, like the world like, just disappeared around me during that time.
Yeah.
Magic happens when you get really like lost
And
into the creative process.
that's why I really want more queer people to play music and do music and feel comfortable and give it a shot because like I mean, I'm lucky that I've been doing it since I was young, and just like kind of like accidentally got put in there because like my family does they don't play instruments or anything like this. My
Mhm.
mom, but both my parents love music. You know who
Yeah,
doesn't? But like really passionately love music. But like I I think because I'm queer is like how I started with music because like my mom, I remember my mom one day asking me if I wanted to play sports, some kind of sport. I was like, I want to say 8 or 9 or something. She was like, "You want to play a sport?" And I thought about it, and I was thinking about how I would be put on the girls' team, and like how
yeah,
things would be so gendered, and like, and so I was just like, no. She was like, "Do you want to like play an instrument?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like I had never thought about it. And my mom was just like offering things for me to do because I was really shy as a kid because I was
yeah,
queer. Or,
yeah,
there are two things that were like related, but also like they're their own things too. But like, yeah, and then my mom was like, "Well, what instrument do you want to play?" And I just like said the one that I hadn't heard of people doing, like which was drums. And so
yeah.
that's how I started was like drums when I was like in third grade, I want to say. And
Oh,
it
nice.
was really nice because I think stuff like that is really nice for queer kids and queer people in general because like a lot of classes for music are like one-on-one, and
Yeah,
those private classes, and so I got to have one-on-one quiet time with my one teacher who was awesome. I'm still friends with him on Facebook, and just like it just opened my whole world to music. And so like that's one of my goals with this project is like just try to like get more queer people feeling comfortable and like knowing that okay, there's other queer people in the space who are doing cool shit. Um,
yeah. I'm gonna just send over all the queer musicians I encountered to you to and be like, here,
oh
you
yeah,
know,
please do. Like
yeah,
yeah, it's like it's cool because yeah, now like we can do things remotely and do like talk to people all over the world and stuff. And like I was in Montreal before too. And I really like it there. One of my favorite things is the underground walkways through the
oh
city.
yeah,
So the
yeah.
winter,
It's
because
nice in the winter time.
I'm from Maine. Is it really hot in the summer?
Oh, summertime sucks up here in the city because like it's just humid.
Yeah,
Yeah, up where we are like now is not too bad. Like we are usually
I
always
get a
like,
cool breeze from the mountain.
yeah, we get it cooler up here. It's also always about like 6 or 7 degrees colder up here than it is in the city. So whenever
Mhm.
we go to the city, I'm like, oh, like we watch it go from like sometimes snowing to like a raining because it just warms up a bit more, just
Yeah,
enough. And you're like, oh, okay. So yeah, Montreal is a bit more on the hot for the summertime. Uh, I, if you don't have an air conditioners, depending on what apartment you're living in, you are doomed.
yeah. Especially like now, every year is getting hotter. It's like that. I'm from Maine originally, so it's probably pretty similar weather. It's only
Yeah,
like
like right
six
now
hour
though, it's not
drive.
bad. Yeah, this year is not too like. We'll see. Like we'll see how this year goes. Like so far, like it's strange. Like this, like we have a lot of snow up here, and we go to a city, and like this just they didn't have snow like for a good like portion of like what we were experiencing. Like I was shoveling since the beginning of November, and like I feel like only in like sometime like after November was done, they started snowing, and even then, I'm like they don't really have snow comparatively right now. I'm like that's not Montreal. Like normally Montreal would have had a lot more snow. So I'm like we'll see what this year's weather's gonna be like.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
expecting the summertime to be a hellstorm of heat, and if it's already this kind of like warm or winter.
yeah. Um, how has being trans influenced your music or artistic perspective in general?
It definitely made me be like, well, art is political at the end of the day. Like it's one of those things where it made sure that I would never fall for the, the very ignorant kind of viewpoint of that art is shouldn't be political. I'm like no, at this point here, it's like it really solidified for me that like I can't work with people who are not on the same like level as me. Like, well, they have to be at my level fully because I know I'm like a little bit. Sometimes I feel like I might be a little too utopist kind of like vibe for certain people. But I mean, hey, like the
But what do
alternative
you mean
spasm. So, well, like I people sometimes think I'm like a delulu for being like for the things I want in the world to be a better world.
for
But I'm like,
being
yeah,
like far leftist?
yeah, I'm like, I think we can have a better world, but we need to deal with
How
the
how
crap shit
dare
like
you?
fascism.
How
I
dare
know, and
you
then
think
they're like, oh, you're such a utopist. It's the Lulu. It's not. That's not really attainable. I'm like,
this way that we're living right now is literally the only way. It's the only thing
and
that
if we're
works.
and if we're not thinking about the best case scenario, if we're not aiming for the best of what we can achieve for humanity as a whole on like all of our well-being, then we're always gonna like just we're shortcutting ourselves. Like we're just we're like even if you like we could hit that, but if you're telling yourself we're not even gonna think about that possibility, you're just like hitting a ceiling every time.
The bar is
So like,
low.
well, yeah, the bar is underground. It is subterranean at this point for humanity. But I mean, they
Yeah.
can't even hit humanity can't seem to hit that. It's just ashes and that here and there, left and right, everywhere. I'm like, oh,
Yeah. That's a whole other
yeah. So I
conversation
mean, yeah. So I mean, like, if
that I
people
could talk
can't
about
be,
for a long time.
yeah, if people are like just so passively accepting the crap that's happening,
Which
it's like,
is wild
of
because it's
course you
like,
will.
are you are you an artist if you can't imagine other opportunities or other options
Right?
for other people or for yourself? I don't know. It's really, yeah. Or like, I guess what I want to say is how boring. How boring is it to just like accept things as they are? Like there's like some things that are worth accepting, of course, but like you're saying, it's just like I don't know. I can't work with people. As much as I'm like, sometimes I'm tired of like, having the like criteria. But I mean, that's the same for like
Yeah,
not just people I play music with, for anyone who I want to be close with in my life. It's like, it's like either way, you have to go through all the like mental gymnastics and emotional work because it's like you have to either do that in the beginning to find the right people, or
yeah.
you have to do that to justify your connection with the person. And yeah, and
Well,
I'm
for me,
tired.
I have to work with people regardless, like in certain settings. So even if, like, let's say my band's all good, we go on tour and stuff like that. Like that, sometimes you don't know who you're gonna be dealing with, like along the way, whether it be, going to a venue that you don't know about in a country you don't know,
Like
and
that
then you
movie
find out,
Green Room.
oh my gosh, oh my gosh, yeah, oof. Yeah. Well, the thing is, okay, so the thing is, for me, it was more like waking up and stepping out of the tour bus and looking around and seeing my drummer walk back and being like, oh, I just took some photos of like there, because there was where we were in Germany, like he just went basically doing a little tourist moment. He's like, I just took photos of tracks that go to like Auschwitz. And I was just like, where are we when I was going on? And like, I'm not, I didn't do anything with the book or stuff. So I have no idea. So I find out via friends and other people and stuff like that about affiliations and stuff like that that venue has and stuff. So I'm like, I walk out there, I'm like, okay, I'm
Wow.
gonna stay stealth here because this is not a safe zone for me. So yeah, like it's almost like I have to still deal with things, for like I'm not on charge of everything, and there's things that slip through the cracks, like, so there's gonna be situations where I'm like, okay, these people are dealing with, Nazis, so it's like, cool, great,
Yeah.
lovely. So I'm like, stay hidden, stay safe, don't use the weird shower that looks like a gas chamber, what I mean, like
Oh God, it's
stuff
so
like that.
scary. It's like
Yeah,
shit
I'm
like
not gonna
that.
name things, but I mean, like, it's just one of those things that you're like, so even then, you'll deal with people you don't know, you find things out, you're like, cool, like, I've dealt with people who I know for a fact politically do not align with me, but they've been pleasant to me. I don't actually know how much they know about me in regards to being trans. I think they know, pretty sure they know, but whatever. At this point here, it, I was
Not
more
gonna bring
worried.
it
I
up.
was like, I was like, cool. I'm like, sometimes you gotta work with people who, you're in a situation. It is what it is. So you're like, how can I do this safely? How can I also navigate things in ways to be like, like doing my part in making the world a better place
Yeah.
without putting myself in danger, right? And so like sometimes it's
Or
like, all
like
right, cool. I know like I'm like this person's not politically who I'd want to deal with, but they're also one of those people where I'm like I would trust this person more than I would trust some of those quietly, like fence sitting, neutral, disagree to disagree people. I'm like
the
at least I know.
centrists.
Yeah, I'm like at least I know this guy like is gonna be like where he stands for certain things, and he thinks I'm cool enough and chill enough to not cause issues here. So I'm like, okay, I at least am wary and can not be surprised by him pulling some nonsense. I'm like, cool, keep things
Yeah.
professional. That's it. But I mean, the centrist ones sometimes they're around you all the time, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh, what? You just
Yeah.
sold me out? You just sold me out to what? For what? For nothing.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
uh,
Um
yeah,
yeah.
let's get back to the questions. I'm like looking at the time, I'm like, ooh,
Yeah, I'll probably just ask like a couple more. I was
yeah,
gonna say what you just said just made me think really fast about like a lot of times I feel like we kind of have to we don't get to ask ourselves like, do I want to put myself in danger or not? We have to
yeah.
ask ourselves like, how much danger can I handle?
And yeah, it's exactly that. It's like how much danger can I put myself in here before it's like really too risky? And like how much is it worth it for like how successful can I be in this situation? Like in whatever I have to do
Yeah.
that's gonna be dangerous. I mean the success rate to the danger rate, I'm like you gotta find that right balance that okay, this much danger because we're gonna have this much probable like success rate for this situation.
It's a lot
Okay.
of mental work and
Oh
emotional
yeah.
work
Oh
and
yeah, and
physical
people have
work.
no idea about that going on around you when you're like, like on a tour bus and you're like, okay, we're all good, things are fine. Like at least for me,
I
like it
mean,
was a decent situation for touring so far with Catalyst. It's been great. We had like decent people situation, but even then, it's always you always gotta be wary about things, especially when you show up
yeah.
at venues that you're like, oh
I feel
okay,
like
this is
that's why movies like Green Room are so like they're like scary to watch. They're like scary movies.
terrifying.
But like they're the ones that you think about after where you're like, oh, I really don't like that because it's just like so realistic.
I shoved that at the back of my head, like mind, like I was far away, and then you said it out loud, and I was like, "Whoa!" It all came flooding back. I'm like, "Nope, nope, 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 nope,
Yeah, sorry for the
nope."
flashbacks.
It's okay, but it's just like it's a good reminder because I'm like,
Yeah, that's so like surreal and strange.
yeah,
Um, cool. So I'll just ask like maybe one more question, and then maybe for
okay.
the other questions, I can like I'll get rid of some of the ones that we already touched on and like leave some for you if you wanted to like answer them, type them up, maybe.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a few things. I'll give you some links and stuff like that as well.
cool. That would be perfect. Cause like I said, I'm gonna write a like a little thing for Substack too, and that might have like different information in it. And then this will be like I'll edit this interview up and put it on YouTube and it will also be in the Substack. Um
Stellar.
so the one that I really want to leave on is what advice would you give to other trans people interested in like getting started playing music?
Ooh. Uh, find what you love. Like if you're jumping into something just because you think it's what's in right now in particular, don't go down that train musically. Do it what you love. Like I've always loved like symphonic metal. It's never been the most popular thing, but it's also got its niche in certain parts of the world like that are huge. Like I know Europe and like Latin American countries in general are they love it still comparatively, but North America not so much. I'm like whatever, and people
Yeah.
always like, why do you continue going down this direction? Because what I love. Like I like all genres. I'm gonna do all genres. Why limit myself? That's one thing. Don't limit yourself, and just remind yourself why you're doing something. Are you doing it because it's what's in, what you think is going to get you somewhere, etc., or are you doing it because you love it? You know, don't limit yourself. Explore, have fun, but think about that. Like it's just is it to get an ego stroke, or is it because you are truly into what you're doing? You know, same thing for the instrument you choose. You know, like you pick up an instrument, you know, you want to sing, but you don't feel good about singing. You know, you feel like you're trying to do it because that's what you know you think that you should be doing. Like maybe pick up something else, try something else. You know, maybe you want to be a guitar shredder, and you're like, you know, turns out you should be a drummer. Maybe I don't know. Like
Yeah. The things you find out once you start, like,
yeah, like don't limit yourself, explore, have fun, but also just make sure reasons why you're doing it is because you're enjoying yourself. You love what you're doing. It's not for anyone else. It's not for clout. It's not for, you know, like to impress somebody, you know, like you're trying to get somebody to like you. Though they like guitarists, they like singers, you know. You don't do a certain genre because that's what, you know, your partner likes that genre. So you want to, you know, you want to serenade them. Like that could be a good way to dabble in that genre, but is that what you actually you're enjoying it? You know, like why are you doing it? Just like think about those things. It's just if you're not enjoying it, why? Why
yeah.
continue? Switch it up. Explore something different. There's endless amounts of genres, endless amounts of instruments, and there's probably things that people have yet to figure out, and maybe that's something that you know someone will figure out
Yeah.
as they're exploring it. You know?
It would be awesome to just see like, yeah, more trans people, more queer people, like across all the genres and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think about like a lot of metal. I feel like punk is way more like
Punk is so
open and
inclusive,
safe. Like there are
so inclusive.
pockets of punk that are like,
Yeah,
no, but
we got pockets of fascists in every single thing in this world. They all
yeah,
infiltrate everything because they are trying to do that purposely. So we don't consider them punks. If you are not anti-fascist, you are not punk.
agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah, because they don't have a personality and
yeah.
they are just trying.
Just like the fascist like goths. I'm like, ooh, no. Like, you guys not know history,
It's like that's just one of like those are some big oxymorons. Like
right?
it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, I like what you said, and like I feel like I kind of feel this is how it's been for me. It's like I feel like if you aren't doing what you love, this is just true for me. It kind of like falls apart. Like,
Yeah,
and some people can like, you know, keep it together and stuff, but like I've I've just found that like, okay, doing what I love and doing what comes naturally to me, it like gives me way more satisfaction, even if no one's listening, even if
yeah,
no one cares, like it makes me feel good. And I feel like more queer people in the world need that, like need something like that to like we were talking about, like the world disappearing when you're writing music and stuff. Like
yeah.
it's just like there's a reason why they do all the charities and stuff with like giving instruments to kids, but it's just like I feel like there's not enough emphasis on like this could be something so helpful for like LGBT people. I think it would be awesome like someday if there was like some LGBT music summer camps and stuff like that.
They actually already have stuff like
I
that in place.
figured
So actually, a friend of mine, he's also a trans guy who's not necessarily like a musician. He's dabbled, played a little guitar at times here and there. He I know he would be like, I'm not a musician. Don't tell people I'm a musician, but like he played with the guitar things and he helped out this rock camp for girls back in the day. It was like uh basically it was very heavily like queer. I don't remember if it was exclusively, but it was very heavily queer, especially all the volunteers and stuff like that. It was just very awesome. And at a certain point, you know, when he started transitioning, and he was like, I don't think I can volunteer anymore. But they're like, no, like we're good. Like this is like, it's the fact like they're very inclusive about things, like the way the
yeah.
language was originally. But they're like, no, like, they really were doing stuff like that, and like I thought that was really badass. I'm like, I think by all means, like we see a lot of these stepping stones that are evolving to be fully inclusive. They are inclusive at heart, but they don't have the opportunity to be inclusive until like one of us shows up and are like, hey, can we still be a part of the space? You know, like
Yeah.
what's the space? Is the space still safe for me? You know, like but a lot of us sometimes just feel like we get like pushed out without trying
Mhm.
first. Balance, we do get pushed out sometimes. But I mean, like there's a lot of situations where I think as trans guys, we just automatically, I feel like we have to step away and then we don't get to step into somewhere else,
Yeah,
you know? So,
totally.
so if there's more like fully inclusive from the get go, but I feel like the one like he was working at, like the, when he transitioned, like it was dope that they were like, no, 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 you keep like, you're not going anywhere, you know? Like, but it was a very like heavily like queer influenced music camp of
If
originally for
that's
girls, you know?
if that's still a thing, can you share?
I will hunt that down. I'll ask my friend and see if I got anything for that and see where that's at now. I'm curious how it's evolved. It's been a few years since he and I had both did our transition. So that was like, yeah, it was probably like 10 years ago when like he was like, can I still, volunteer here?
This is good, but it could be better.
Yeah, but that was something really cool. Like in general, even then, just that rock camp for girls at that point there is also just fantastic. 'Cause
I mean,
I
Rock
know,
Camp for Girls is awesome too. Like,
yeah, but at that point there, they weren't like I think at that point there, trans girls would be still included for their like, in their things initially, and that's where like him as a trans guy was like, I don't know, can I still? I was like, yes, of course, it's a volunteer, like.
yeah,
So I mean, as long as they continued on that direction, I think it's awesome. So I'm gonna look into it, and I'll send you that as well.
sick. Well, cool. Thank you so much for chatting with me and
Oh,
being
my
the
pleasure.
first interviewee on my
A
project.
good way to break the ice, step into this new project. Like,
Hell yeah.
I full throttle. I'm really excited for you doing this.
And I'm excited for your projects too. I'm excited to hear what's coming up in the spring. So keep me updated,
Yeah,
and I'll keep
I'll
you
send you stuff.
updated on the video and everything.
Hell yeah.
And I'll edit this page that I shared with you. So because there's still some questions I would like to know. No,
Yeah, no, of course. I'll take a look at that and I'll send you links, things, and I'll answer a few extra stuff. And by all means,
cool,
if you want, we could chat some more in the future anytime you want. Like
cool.
homies at this
There's
point.
lots of things we could talk about, so I'm down for
Yeah,
that.
heck
All
yeah.
right, thanks, man.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Yeah, I definitely gotta get going. It's starting to get dark here already. It's freaking only 4.
It's 10 p.m. here, so
Okay, it's 4 o'clock here and it's starting to get dark, and I'm like, geez. I'm like, all
yeah,
right.
time to
All
go.
right. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Well, I'll talk to you again hopefully soon. And good luck with the long editing. That's a long video. I enjoyed our chat though. Good
Yeah,
already.
me too.